What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Climb Together podcast. I'm your host, Tonage Scorp, here with my co-host, Deception. Deception, say hi.
Yep.
What up, what up, what up? Another week, another podcast. This is episode 103. Oh my god, we're chugging right along on these episodes. But right before stream, I was kind of going through a trip down memory lane through these podcasts. And just a reminder, they are all on YouTube if you guys are watching them on Twitch, or if you guys are watching this on YouTube, go and click on the playlist and listen to the podcast. We've got some great episodes, past and present, over the past 3 years that talk about a lot of different things and are really informational.
Right.
My personal favorite is episode number 1. Is our origin story. Kind of talking about why we started the podcast, and I like to listen to it sometimes to kind of bring me back and remind me of why we're doing this, why we do this podcast. Because sometimes, after 3 years, the lines get a little blurred. But anyway, so let's start out talking about so over the weekend. Last week we did predictions of the CDL Minor number 1 is what we did. Well, let me just pull up maybe an accurate bracket from the weekend, maybe. Okay, yeah, I got the accurate bracket. Sweet. All right, let me just switch over. So we did bracket predictions ourselves going into this weekend last week, and I thought we did pretty decent. There was a few things that kind of like surprised us, definitely. Yo, what's up, Starry Sky?
Crazy thing about the whole event is just
Chiz.
is exactly what I said. I was like, if FaZe shows up, they'll be scary, and
Yo,
they kind of
Skylar,
did.
what's good? Sorry, one of my friends from high school just popped in my chat. I haven't talked to him like forever. What's up, Skylar? What's up? How you doing? But yeah, so let me pull up the bracket real quick. Sorry, all right. So our bracket, what we had was Surge losing to Cloud9, which I do believe happened, right? Yeah, so we were pretty right, except for our top part got kind of got wrecked when OpTic lost to Ravens, which we kind of didn't see coming. And then going down, we had FaZe losing to Thieves, and Thieves won.
That was arguably the bigger one.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest upset. And then Rocker winning against Ultra, but we didn't have Ultra moving forward anyway, and then FaZe taking the whole thing. And honestly, I wasn't expecting FaZe to win, because they haven't been on their game. We talked about this last week, but they really needed to turn up. Like they have the ability to win, obviously, but last week we were like, they really need to turn up and decide that, like, hey, like, this is, we need to show up, and they finally did, so, which is awesome.
Yeah, they went from like everybody thinking like they were one of the worst teams and they were gonna fall off to they won the event. You kind of have to take it with a grain of salt because it's only like a single LM online event, but FaZe definitely looked a lot better this time around. A whole lot better than they did in the league match.
Hi, Heather. What's up, Heather? But yeah, so I think this is kind of what we needed to see out of FaZe. They've been kind of we've been waiting for them to turn up, and they kind of needed to, or probably some changes were going to be made to their roster, and they've been rocking this roster for like a year, so which is great. I don't know, I'm really shocked by this. I didn't watch any of the matches, obviously, because I was working, but I don't know, I really am shocked by this win.
I watched all of them.
I know you
It
did.
was highly interesting.
I know you did Deception. I know.
I hate to say it, but I don't know if we're gonna have this type of unpredictability at LAN. I wish we would, to be honest, because this
Yeah.
was a very unpredictable event. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean,
Um, and it raised the question. Like I saw some people talking about this. Honestly, I kind of, with how this event went, even though it was single LM online, whatever. With how this event went, I really wish that they just did this every weekend, still league matches, because this was great.
yeah.
This was a really fun event to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't I my god, if I could speak. Sorry. um I think this was kind of like a testament because a lot of people were really, skeptical about this type of tournament being placed within the Call of Duty League because there's just been minors and league matches pretty much since the start in 2020 or 2019, really. Well, 2020, really.
Really, like the only difference was like when COVID hit and like we couldn't, because the whole system was different in MW19 where they were going to bring teams to different areas, like depending on which team was hosting every couple weeks. And they did sort of something like this eventually. It was initially only going to be league matches, and people, like all the teams, like kind of protested it because
Mm-hmm.
it was essentially them flying out across the country at times to play like one game and
Yeah.
leave. Um, so they ended up doing it like this in MW19, and I think a lot of people liked it. I mean, I liked that system. Um, I didn't mind going back to league matches, but I was kind of hoping that like once everything to deal with the pandemic died down, that they would go back to LAN like they did in BO4,
Yeah.
but they have not. So honestly, if they like looked at this and they were like, well, what do we want to do? We want to keep doing league matches or do tournaments every week? I would do this. This was really fun to watch.
Yeah. I was not. I'm really people were really skeptical about it. I'm glad it kind of paid off because we have been looking for something else to kind of like mitigate the major stuff, like so. I don't know. I'm glad. I'm glad it went off well, and I'm glad that FaZe kind of turned up a little bit. I was getting a little scared for them.
I really enjoyed it.
Good, but I mean, there's really much we can say about it. I mean, other than like FaZe performed. I mean, I didn't really watch, so I can't really give too much on this. But like I said,
FaZe kind of dominated against Thieves. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, 3-1, like that's kind of insane. I mean, they three it. I mean, obviously, but they like 3-1 the first two teams, and then the only close match was Rocker. And I mean, I wasn't expecting Rocker to go as far as they did at all. So I think it like proves some of the depth.
Rock are pretty freaking good at respawn. To be honest, they're not. They need to work on their search, but they're pretty good at respawn.
Yeah. I mean,
They were clutching up in search at times, but they kind of like obviously they were playing Gorillas and Ultra first. They kind of showed some of their flaws in search against FaZe, but
yeah.
I thought Rocker looked really good. Rocker was probably, besides FaZe beating Thieves, considering how FaZe had played before, I think Rocker were probably the shock of the tournament, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, as much as I would like to say that FaZe was like a shock, I think we were just waiting for them to perform. You know, like it wasn't as much of a shock.
Thieves matchup in the second round was insane. Like, no matter how that was going to go down, that was an insane match to have that early in the event. Like, I feel like going into the fact that this was announced before the league started, everybody thought it would be OpTic Thieves or FaZe Thieves in the grand finals, and having FaZe Thieves that early was crazy.
I agree. I'm actually like, really shocked by it. I don't know. This whole bracket kind of like threw me for a loop. I think I wasn't. I mean, the beginning, yeah, was like predictable, but I think the after part was really crazy. But I don't know. I'm like, and then they start back up qualifiers. So
Honestly, like I just wish that they would consider doing tournaments like that every
I
like
think
week or two
I think like
instead of
every
doing
other
league
week,
matches.
or like do one in, like like after a major or something, like the week before pool play starts up again or something like that. Like I feel like more than just one would be extremely beneficial and really entice people to watch, because these league matches, like, they're okay, but they're not anything like tournament setting. I feel like the tournament
I don't
holds more
really
weight.
watch the league matches all that much, to be honest. Like I will like skim through them like after they've already been done, but it's just like the league matches when you're just playing for a couple CDL points and
Mm-hmm.
nothing really crazy is on the line. Like you have to wonder in league matches how hard teams are even trying, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, because like I mean, at the end of the day, they all still get to play at the
Because
major.
league matches are basically just scrims.
Yeah. Streamed scrims. I mean, they all get to play at the major. It really comes down to placement for champs, but for the first major, like, and even the second one, really, it doesn't quite matter. It only matters how you do in the major and the points you get there. And these pool play matches are just kind of like for placement in those. It really, there's not a lot of weight that gets carried, unlike when there's like open matches, where you're fighting to get into the bracket. There is really no fight to get in the bracket. They all get an automatic spot. um so it kind of like alleviates the pressure for them. But I mean, we have week 3 coming up this weekend. Whenever, I don't see many. I don't know, other than like LAT in Texas. And then there's an Atlanta Minnesota rematch from this
Thieves and
weekend.
OpTic is probably the biggest.
Yeah, the biggest
It's
matchup.
probably going to be the biggest one, but I definitely think that considering they played both of these teams at the minor, I think that both of the rocker matchups will be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Them versus Toronto and them versus FaZe. But I mean, other than that, it's not really that interesting. And I think that's that's like the problem, and that's why I think that like if they did a tournament set up every weekend or every couple weekends, it would be better because you would have exciting matchups like all the time rather
Mm.
than oh, there's like one good matchup today and nothing else really.
Yeah. Which, it kind of like, I don't know, it makes it less exciting. That's what people watch
It's like if
competitive
you look at
esports. It's
Saturday, like I don't really care about any of the games on Saturday.
But I don't know, whatever. I think that there's a lot more that can be done. But I mean, the CDL isn't perfect, nor will it ever be. But I think adding the minor was a good change. I think anyone that says otherwise is just salty they lost.
I just wish they'd do that every weekend, even if they kept the same format. It was just great.
Yeah,
I thought it was awesome.
yeah, agreed. I don't even remember what I had us talking about today, to be honest. What do I have in my title? Okay, so kind of moving off from the CDL. I mean, there's not really much to talk about again until the major coming up in a couple weeks. But we'll do a bracket prediction like we did like this, and then we'll do the next week we'll go over and kind of see what went where.
Yeah.
But good on FaZe. Congratulations to them for making their comeback, and getting that 30 CDL points, the first 30 CDL points of the season. Okay, so moving on, we have the OpTic Halo roster change. I mean, we follow, you know, OpTic like nobody's business, right? That's like those are our peeps over there. Um, Even though they don't know who we are, we only know who they are. One day though, maybe. We'll see. So they announced their new Halo roster. So we knew that this roster was gonna be an epic roster. Because Formal kind of like alluded to the fact after they announced that it was either he was gonna play with this roster or he was gonna retire. So I'm sure the team at OpTic was doing everything that they could to make this roster possible. So it has Formal, Bound, Renegade, and Legend. And honestly, like this is like the epic freaking
It's about the
gods.
best
This is the
Halo
God
team you could have
Squad.
made.
Yeah, this is
Out
the
of
God
out of
Squad.
like all the players that have played since the beginning of this game, Halo Infinite, this is about the best team you could have made. It's gonna be this team is I feel like this team and like SSG are the two teams that are like gonna be really good this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if they faced off in like every grand final.
Yeah. I think they are just, I don't know. I think I'm excited to see them play together and compete, and they're definitely going to be doing really good things together. Um, you know.
It's gonna be incredible. I think because I mean OpTic had a great team last year, but they didn't. It just felt like they couldn't beat SSG.
Yeah. That was like their thorn in their side the entire season. Like every time they went up against them, it just didn't go their way. Except for like once or twice. Once or twice.
It was funny because it's like they won the first Halo World Championship of Halo Infinite, and then it's like the next year they couldn't beat FaZe for the life of them, who had Bound and Renegade. And then last year they couldn't beat SSG, who had Legend. So now they've got three of the people that they basically couldn't beat, and now they're on the same team
Yeah.
with Formal, who
It's just,
I would say Formal has been at the very least a top 3 Halo player ever since he has
for sure.
come back.
I mean, this man, he's gonna be like Scump, and he's gonna retire at his prime. You know, like he's still gonna be able to compete at this like high level and get, you know, these wins, but he's gonna retire while he's hot. But I think, you know, if this team doesn't stay together after this year, I think it might be, you know, Formal might put in his 2 weeks, as you know they say.
I mean, he's 30 now.
Yeah, which is like not old, but it's old in like as far as like competitive gamers go. I mean, you see most
in terms of like esports, especially like console style FPS games like COD, Halo, you see people retire at 24, 25. I mean, Scump was like I think 27 or 28, maybe.
Yeah.
The oldest player that had played COD up until the point he retired before this year was Clay, and he was 31.
So I mean, like it's just kind of like the scene itself. I mean, it's an 18 to 30 is like the main age range. You rarely see people younger, and you rarely see people older, just because of. Like,
well, you can't see people younger anymore because of the way the CDL works.
Well, that's true, especially in the CDL. But like you know, in other esports, they allow people that are under 18. In some pro leagues.
Yeah, the only games where I see like super like old players compared to like the average age group is like CS. I know there are a few people in CS that are like 34, 35.
I think that's just because of the game itself. I mean, the game is an old game. I mean, it's if not the oldest esport, other than like maybe Smash or something like that.
It's been around for a long time.
It's been around for a long time. It's one of the OG esports.
And there are some people who have played for basically the entire duration.
Yeah.
Like I know there was one guy that retired from CS like last year, and he had played for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
which is like crazy to think, because like, you know, they've been playing longer than some of these new players have been alive, which, you know, it's funny to think about. You know, I'm like
well,
21.
that's like the whole thing of like when Clay made his the fun fact about COD is when Clay made his Game Battles account in like 2007 or 2006, Hydra was 3 years old, and they
Yeah.
played on the same team together.
That's so crazy. Like, it's just it's so crazy to think about, because like, especially like, I don't know, it's just now that, like, you know, esports has started to, you know, it came around, and like, I don't even know when esports was like, when
Esports really became a big thing in like the mid to late 90s. That's when like the first like tournaments popped up for like games.
Yeah, I'm doing some research here. So I mean, esports started, the first known esports tournament was in 1972 for Intergalactic Space War. But like, that's like the well-known one. I mean, but I mean, it really didn't start kicking up until the 90s. You know.
It wasn't really possible to get esports in the sense that it is right now off the
Yeah.
ground until
Modern
the
day
internet
esports,
started.
yeah, that's like early 2000 is modern day esports, maybe even late 2000s, you know, like 2006, 7, 8. Is when modern day esports, where, you know, where there's competing online, and then there's going to tournaments, and then, you know, really modern day like online tournaments. That's like 2014 and stuff like that, around the pick off of Twitch, or Justin TV as it was at the time. But I mean, it's just, you know, so, you know,
And people streamed on MLG.TV.
Yeah, you know, like pretty much all of us, in, you know, both the Deception and I, probably most people in this chat, you know, or watching this podcast, you know, esports has been around longer than we've been alive, which is great, you know. It's starting to, you know, get some of that traction, and build, you know, and we're getting to the point. I mean, you hear people talk about it all the time. I just watched a podcast with Hex. I don't remember. Oh, it was with
I remember like the first time I saw people playing, there was an esports event on actual television.
Mm-hmm. I think
like,
I watched
remember
Overwatch.
watching like in 2016. I watched CS because of E-League Season 1.
I think
and I was like, I was sitting there and I was like, I was scrolling through the channels and I saw it and I was like, wait, people are playing CS on live TV? What is happening right
now? The first esports I watched on TV was Overwatch. I don't watch TV like a lot. Like, I never really have. I mean, now I'm kind of watching TV a lot, but that's just because I like to have it on in the background while I like puzzle or something, or like work on stuff for the syndicate. But so I didn't watch TV a lot at the time, but so every time I would go over to my step grandparents' house for like a birthday or whatever, I would like scroll through the channels and put something on, because they only watch Fox News, and I'm not about watching the news all the time. So I was scrolling through. I think it was one of my cousin's birthdays or something, and I saw like Overwatch, and I was like, wait a minute, what? So like I clicked it, and we all watched Overwatch together, me and my cousins and my siblings, and it was great. It was like, that's like a core memory for me. I will never forget that. You know, the first time watching esports on television was Overwatch. I don't remember what channel it was on. It was probably like ESPN or something, of that sort. But
what's crazy is I had like never really watched CS before that. Like, I knew about the game, but I never really watched it until it was on live television.
Yeah.
And then what do you know? OpTic gets a CS team. They enter into E-League Season 2. They're not even expected to make it to the actual tournament, and they win the whole thing.
Yep. You know, and that's it's great. Yeah, I didn't know about. I didn't really watch CS either until I watched the OpTic CS team, through like Vision and stuff. So I mean, these companies run deep, you know. And I was talking to, sidebar, speaking of OpTic, I guess, in a way. So I went home for my grandma's birthday, at the end of December after Christmas and stuff like that. Shout out my grandma, love her. She's 80 now. So we were all sitting at the table. You know, I had a glass of wine, and so I get a little yappy, more yappy than I am normally. And so I was talking, and so my aunt and my uncle like and my grandma were asking me about esports, because I told them, I'm like, you know, like I still point my degree, like, you know, I'm going to school so I can learn business, so I can bring business into esports and start start an organization from the ground up, you know, be the first female CEO, to my knowledge, from CEO founder, in esports. And so they were asking all these questions, and I like really went in depth, and I was talking about OpTic, and you know, and FaZe, and even like 100 Thieves and TS, like all these big, you know, names that we know, G2 and all that. And kind of like just explaining to them how, you know, deep this runs, and how deep the history is, and like all the different levels and inner workings of esports. And like, because I was, you know, because I've talked to you about it a lot, Deception. I mean, you've heard me read off the business plan I don't even know how many times. But so I kind of like, you know, I was talking to them about how like, there's like 3 different departments of esports in a good esports organization. You know, there's business side, which is like the paperwork side, the business stuff, like the accounting, the merchandise, the sales, the sponsorships, the deals, the running, the meetings, the, you know, marketing plans and all this other stuff. And then there's the esports side with the teams, the competing, the exposure, that kind of stuff. And then there's the content side, which is arguably one of the more important sides of the organization, of, you know, YouTube videos, streams, events, social media, graphic design, video editing, and just like how all these things come together. And that I think is what built OpTic, you know, was their, you know, their content. They did have their, you know, great winnings. I mean, you know, they've won a lot of tournaments and stuff like that, but the reason why they have such a big following and such a core following is, you know, that's go behind immediately support these teams. I'm sure when these guys, you know, this announcement went live like 6 days ago, I'm sure that these guys, their followers boomed up just because of how core the green wall is, because of how connected they feel to these players, because of the content, because of things like vision and the process and stuff like that. I mean,
I remember like during the OpTic Dark Ages, during COD Ghosts, when Scump left, Big T retired, like they were trying to find new players there for like that little 2-week period. I remember like Parasite joined OpTic for like 3 days and only played like a couple scrims with him before he ended up leaving. But in that like span of him joining, his Twitter followers like tripled.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's just crazy. Like that they have that kind of ability. It's just like the same thing with like that used to be with FaZe. You know, like if you join FaZe, your following would like immediately like triple, quadruple, just because of the fact that you were now associated with that brand, and there was that level of trust that, you know, they only bring in these certain members and these certain people to build this community. I mean, obviously that was kind of lost with FaZe over the years, but we all know why. We've talked about it a few times, but like with them, the OG, you know, members and the founders losing control of the company, and then kind of corporate people just doing whatever they wanted. That's, you know, that's why that happened. But now it's kind of getting back to that. But so we were talking about it, and I really went into depth about like the vision specifically, because, and like the process, because OpTic just does it so well. They tell these stories to like the best that you could tell, you know, the story of the past month or 2 months of an esports organization. You know, they go behind the scenes, but they also get, you know, they tie in the moments that you see live in front of you. You know, you watch them win these events, and then you go and watch them win it again, and then you learn the conversations that led up to it. You know, the being down, you know, a few maps, and like having to go in and really, you know, win for match, you know, for the championship. And you get to see that conversation of the raw emotion and people just like actually feeling things, and they're not just people on screens playing games. So I was a point to that, and I forgot. Deception, where was I going with that? Or did I get there? Did I get there?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Damn. All right. Cool. I
don't know where you were going.
I don't know where I was going. I don't think I know where I was going either. I think I was just talking.
That wine is still in her system. She's still yapping.
Yeah, I know. It's been like 2 weeks. I don't know. I think just like how far, I think I was kind of testifying like how far esports has come, because now, you know, when you look and see how an esports should be built, you look at, you know, businesses like OpTic and like FaZe in before their dark period with corporate, but in like 100 Thieves, you look and you see those successful organizations and you see what they've done, and it aligns. Like they have, you know, good, they have, you know, strong or moderately good competitive teams. They have a good business structure. They have they have like expert content around them, both in the content creators that they bring on, the players that they bring on that create content around the games. Like you don't see a lot, like OpTic is like one of the very few teams in Halo, you know, still, that make content around the game consistently, whether it be streaming or making videos. Like this is something that you don't see. It's like the key to success and nobody's doing it, and that's like that's one of the things
that's like the one thing that's hurt Halo the whole time it's been in esports.
Yeah, because I feel like
there's basically been nobody doing content for it.
So like even like the people that do content for it, they could do so much more, but they're like, we're already doing something, which is better than nothing, you know? So I feel like if all these games or all these other organizations took on this approach, I feel like there'd be a better, you know, outcome. And I feel like the esports is still growing, but it's more of like it's plateaued growth. Like it's still growing, but it's not as like exponential as it was. But I feel like if we kind of took this turn as a community and it started doing these things where, you know, you don't have like random schmo joes making loadouts, you have like all CDL pros making their loadouts, you know, and then you go to the one that you respect as a player, or like whoever's doing the best at the moment or whatever. Like there's so much potential and so many different things through content and through, you know, doing like everybody, like it's so easy to just do like one video a week, you know, like it doesn't have to be like this grandiose thing. Just take 2 hours out of your week, you know, make a video based off of the game that you play, and then boom,
I just
upload
wish
it.
more people would make like more pros, especially would make like Halo ranked videos, but I just don't even know how many of them play.
Yeah, so like there's so much potential that's not being reached. And that's kind of like my thought behind like the syndicate specifically. I mean, like our organization. I mean, like there's a lot that I want to do with the organizations. There's a lot of boundaries, well, not boundaries, but like ceilings that I want to break through. And like, I mean, we've already broken through a lot, and it's just like who we are, made up of. I mean, the main thing is like, I want us to be the change that we want to see. I mean, that's something that I think I've always wanted. I mean, if you've known me for a long time, you've always known that like I don't want to be like everybody else. I'm very unique, as people like to say instead of weird. But like I've left organizations because, you know, they've kind of like let themselves become complacent in what they're doing. You know, like sorry, somebody's like yelling in my apartment building. I think someone's fighting. I think it's a couple downstairs, but whatever. There is a lot that needs to change within the esports industry for it to take off and go into a whole new atmosphere, like a whole new realm of possibility. For example, like I feel like there's a very much like bro vibe in a lot of, I mean, this is gonna be totally weird, off topic, kind of me just, I'm just gonna yap for a second and just get this all out, but there's this like bro vibe that's in the higher levels and even the lower levels of esports where like, you know, where the guys, you know, you're gonna play with the boys, whatever. So like they automatically discount a lot of women and their opinions. I'm speaking from experience, by the way. I'm not just like talking out my butt and like just, you know, based off of what other people told me. This is like my personal experience. And like the thing is like and that kind of like affects a lot of different things. You know, I'm not blaming these people because, you know, they're all entitled to their opinions and their own personal experiences and perspectives, and like, yeah, they're obviously gonna like want to like be with their friends, and they're not all, you know, a lot of them have that like, I can't be friends with girls because, you know, that means like, I don't know, romantic feelings or whatever. It's like a, like, Deception and I are friends and there's no romantic feelings, right, Deception? At least not my.
True.
I mean, at least on my end. I don't know. Not quite my type.
Bro.
But like,
that's criminal.
But I'm also friends with girls, you know, like, or like, you know, and other women that, you know, it's like, I don't know, it's a very heteronormative misogynistic view, but that's beside the point. I don't even know where I'm going with that. But there's a lot of things that can be done. I mean, to bring, you know, these certain things up to light and acknowledge these voices that I don't know. I'm just like a huge advocate for diversity. I guess that's what I'm going for. Not like affirmative action diversity, but like actual like diversity and being like, yo, like this chick is awesome. Like even if you call them chicks, like just be like, this chick is awesome, let's bring her on, you know, like that's why like I think with FaZe specifically, them kicking Kaylee out was probably like what solidified this like anger, I guess, within me. Because Kaylee like fits. She fits FaZe. She fits the FaZe mantra, the FaZe vibe, the like everything about FaZe. She fits, you know. Yeah. And I'm sure like if they had talked to her and asked her to do a little bit more IRL content, she probably would. She doesn't seem like the type of person that wouldn't do that. And she loves gaming and she will game probably forever. But like I feel like if they asked her to, she would move and like be with the FaZe guys and like do that IRL content with them along with the gaming content. Based off of my like I'm not her, like I don't know what happened or, you know, whatever, but like I feel like she, based off of what I know, in my perspective, in my opinion, I think that she would have done that, and the fact that they didn't keep her was really like that they wanted it to be like the guys, you know. And you know, that's all fine and dandy, but like, you know, if you, there's a whole, you know, women and men, they, you know, female and male, statistically, not including non-binary people, but like female, male, as far as like the cultural society goes, is like splits up 50% of the, it's pretty much 50-50 as far as the population goes. And I think even more women play games than men, and then there's also non-binary people, and you know, people like to see themselves represented in places and in organizations, and sometimes, you know, I don't, like me personally, I don't want to listen to guys you know, be all like talking bro, you know, like that's not my thing. I mean, sometimes yeah, but it depends on like the level. But like it brings more people into your organization, you know. Like if you have a bilingual streamer who speaks, you know, either English and French or English and Spanish, you're going to bring in those Spanish speakers, you're going to bring in those French speakers, you know, they're going to bring in those people that are, you know, looking for content that they enjoy. Like I don't enjoy IRL content, I enjoy gaming content, so like it's just,
that's like when Gotaga streamed the CDL League matches, and they had more viewers than like Scump and like the CDL stream, and
yeah, because like it's something different. It's in their like preference and their perspective of things, you know. Like people want to like watch someone that has like a similar perspective on the world. I mean, every women have a certain perspective on the world just because they're a woman. People of color have a certain perspective on the world just because they're people of color. People in the LGBTQ plus community have a certain perspective on the world just because they're part of that community. You know, like Southern people have Southern United States people have a certain perspective on the world just because they're from the South. Like it's cultural, and culture builds perspective, and you know, you wanna like you'll be able to relate to someone with a similar perspective to you. And I feel like that's what some of these organizations are missing in their front lines, is these people with similar perspectives on lives. That's like one of the reasons why Butters is like one of my favorite, like, if not one of my, like, if not my favorite, uh content creator to watch. Is like, for one, she is a woman that has loved, like, just loves God. And what am I? A woman that just loves God. She also went to college and was like the president of her eSports club. I'm going to college and I'm the president of eSports club, and it just like builds this like rapport. And that's kind of like what I'm tying back to like vision, is like you build these rapport with these people and it builds a stronger core fan group to the whole shebang-a-dang. Like Deception, I'm sure you watch a bunch of guys that love racing, right? Or not, maybe not a bunch, but there's like definitely people that you watch because they love racing the way that you love racing, or they love that DVD the way you love DVD. And like it's rapport, and that's what a lot of these companies are missing. And that's something that I think is a goal for ours within the Scorpion Syndicate, is to really diversify our perspective base within our membership. I mean, obviously we want to keep that core value the same. I mean, I want to make sure that everybody like realizes that we respect each other, and everybody's equal, and like those certain things, but those don't apply to like cultures. That's like human right issues, and like just like being a good person, in my opinion. But like at the same time, hold that high quality of content. But like it doesn't matter what the content is. It's like more of like, I know that this person is going to put out good content. They may be different than I am, but they're going to be putting out good content, and we have similar views as far as how to treat each other with respect, and that we want to grow and share the knowledge wealth with each other, right? And that allows us to kind of like to expand ourselves a little bit, and expand like who likes to watch our content. And I know it's not like an important aspect, but like when you think of it as like a business sense, you want to like expand your target market as like much as possible, right? Like if you're thinking about it business wise, and even just like having more opinions on what you're doing is always better. Like that's one thing. That's why I like the way that we do things at the Syndicate. And this isn't leaking anything. It's just more like when we make a decision together, we make it together. Like when we decided to go with Rogue Energy, we all voted on it. We all wanted to go with them. It wasn't like I was like, all right, guys, this is what we're doing. And even if someone said no, like I would want to know why, and like if there was a company that they would want to go with more, and for certain reasons. Like everybody has a different perspective, and the more perspectives you have on something, the more detailed you can get. Because like there's a book I'm reading right now. It's about like it's called The Four Agreements. It's kind of like it's kind of like a self-help book a little bit, but it talks about like the perceptions of life and how we're all living based off of our perception of reality. Based off of our experiences and the things that we've gone through in life and the things that we've learned, it alters our perception of what's happening in front of us, like assuming things, or like blaming the people for things, or taking things personally when it's not personal. That's all based off of personal perspective and perception. So bringing in all these different personal perspectives and perception and talking about them and seeing them, it allows us to see things in a clearer view, because like, oh, that's your perception. Oh wait, but I also have a perception on that, and then you can kind of like see what is part of reality and what is part of the mind, if that makes any sense. Deception, you gotta like cut me off here, because I'm just gonna keep yapping.
I like that you're extending the time, because I know that Treyarch is about to make an announcement in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can keep yapping, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know. I just it's I really like to listen to people. Like, that's one of the reasons why I like podcasts so much, is because you get to hear people's perspectives on things. And I know that, like, a bunch of people are just like, oh, you know, podcasts are just people for just giving their opinion and stuff like that. But, like, opinion's important, especially on a lot of these topics. You get to see things from a different light, and it really
I
exposes
like
you.
podcasts because you get to listen to people that you already watch, like, shorter form videos from a
Yeah,
lot of
I mean,
times
you get to
for an
learn more.
extended period of time.
I mean, you get to learn more about them. Like, I've been watching a lot of podcasts because now, like, it's one of the things I like to do at work when I'm like doing prep is listen to podcasts because it's just something on the background, you know. But I also like learn a lot. Like, who? Okay, let me type in the search bar: gaming podcasts. Okay, so like, I watch like OpTic. I watch like all the
Queso podcast was hilarious.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that.
It was
but-
great. It was from so long ago, but it was great.
But there's like so many different podcasts out there, right? I like Around the Bar. This is my shit. All right. I watch pretty much every episode of Around the Bar. It says I haven't watched this one. I just haven't watched it on this account. But like, for example, like that's what I like about Hitch. Too loud. That's what I like about Hitch though, is he definitely like broadens his like guest space, you know? Like, he doesn't just pick like people that are on OpTic, you know. He picks someone that used to be an OpTic but is now as like an eSports CEO, top streamer.
The first person that he picked was first person he had
was
on the
Mango.
podcast was Mango.
Yeah,
it wasn't even. He literally his first, like, he had the first like even close to like Call of Duty related, much less OpTic person was Hex.
Yeah,
like the first one was Mango, who was a Smash player. Mike P is a rapper. like,
but you want to see Hex on the, you know, the Hitch podcast, like a podcast with Hitch, like the episode with Hex and the episode with, you know, Team Summertime, with like, those are episodes that you expect to see. But he also like fills in these other people that you're like, I know nothing about paintball, right? But yeah, I'd watch a 2-hour podcast on it, sure. You know, it and then you learn so much, and you're like, oh, I've already seen like 3, you know, like, there's people that you expect to see.
The Mango one, bro.
Yeah. And then there's like this one. The Butters one is my favorite. I don't like which, you know, obviously, like, she's obviously one of the better, most viewed ones, but
I haven't watched it yet because I haven't got around to watching it, but I heard the one with Brooke was really good.
The one with Brooke?
Yeah.
Like Brooke AB Brooke?
Yeah. I wonder if he hasn't released it yet.
No, he has. It's here. I haven't watched it yet. I didn't realize she did one with
that one yet, but I saw some clips of it on TikTok, and I was like, I'm
gonna watch that one tomorrow, I think, or Sunday. I'll probably watch that at work. But yeah, so like, you just hear like these different perspectives, and you hear how they came through the gaming industry, and it kind of like makes sense how they formed, you know, the way that they, you know, view the scene, and you just hearing all these different perspectives on gaming and just the world, and in just like content creation and being in this industry of entertainment and YouTube. It's refreshing to know that like sometimes you're not alone, but like other times you're doing things, you might be ahead, you know. But I love Around the Bar. I think it's a great podcast. I'm on
Around the Bar is awesome, bro.
I'm on a different account right now, so I'm not subscribed, but on the other one I am. But yeah, it's great. I love it.
Around the Bar, man. I need to watch that one with Basically I Do Work. That's probably a really good one.
I mean, look at like the views on it though, like 431, like, hello. And he's not doing it for like view purposes either. I mean, like, he's just talking with people that he genuinely wants to talk with. I mean, there's like, this one has 17K. I mean, some of them are just gonna get views.
Already done one is gonna be good too.
Yeah. And then you have like Slime, who has like 239K, you know. So I think I think there's good podcasts out there that have substance, and this is one of them. And then there's other podcasts where people literally just like yap and just say like random things, which I hope is not us. I mean, I try to have our podcast have substance. I was kind of talking about this before the podcast itself, and that like that's something that Deception and I are working on, is building more substance within these. I say that as I just went on a yap sesh that I don't even think it made any sense.
Dude, basically I do work one is 2.5 hours.
Dude, I would, talking to that man, he's on it right now though. Like he just like, there's some creators that are just doing the most right now, and it they may not be like the Mr. Beast, but they're like, it's like Mr. Beast and then like
I'm really intrigued to watch his, because when I was first getting into COD and like the first time I was like watching COD YouTube videos all the time, was like the main people I watched was like Scump and the Vanos crew, and basically I Do Work was part of that. And he's the only one that's like, I would say like outside of those specific videos, that everybody else in the Vanos crew, like people like branched out. But like basically I Do Work is the only one that really like talks about what was happening there.
Yeah.
And nobody else really says anything. So I'm intrigued to see what he says about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I think I don't know, I just love this podcast. But there's so many things out there to watch. What's another one that I like to watch? So FaZe Apex just started a new podcast series called Unfiltered, right? Or like an unfiltered conversation with, whoever.
That'll be a good one.
So this is a really good one. I love this one because he does talk for like hours with these people. Like they're all like an hour and a half plus, around 2 hours usually. Like he's had FaZe Drug, Roman Atwood, Tico, Hex, Nate Shot, like these, and it's all like family friendly too. Like he bleeps out all like swear words and stuff like that. So, but he did like Rain was his first one. He did one with Nate. He did one with Ninja, and it just like, I mean, he's just kind of started these, but like he I don't know. I really love this podcast. If it's considered, I think it's considered a podcast.
The FaZe Rain one was gonna be interesting.
Yeah. I've watched the Ninja one. I've watched the Rug one. I've watched pretty much all except for the first two with Rain and Atwood. I used to watch Roman Atwood like every day. Every day, 3 o'clock, I'd be on the bus watching his freaking vlogs. But he got a little too political for my liking. If you catch my drift. And also I don't really condone family vlogging much anymore after some recent things that I've learned about it. But that's my own personal view. I mean, I don't shame anyone that likes watching family vlogs. I mean, but anyway, yeah, I think that they're, to sum up this entire conversation, or really just yap sesh, really, I don't know how much of a conversation it was, but the gaming world is definitely taking a new turn, and I feel like there's a lot to be done, and I feel like there's a lot that no, that doesn't make any sense. Rewind. Okay. I feel like the gaming world has made, incredible strides in the new direction. I mean, where we've always been on top of being in the forefront, and with social media and YouTube and all these different things, and like media, especially now with traditional sports, taking on like Media Day, doing podcasts themselves, doing like, posting on TikTok and YouTube and all this other stuff. Esports has always been in the front of that, but I feel like we need to own that more. And I feel like people are just like kind of just hopping along and not taking advantage of the fact that we are ahead of everybody else in the content space in this scene. And there's a lot of potential here that's being untapped, and I feel like once everyone gets on the same page, I don't see esports stopping or even plateauing in any of the future. I feel like there's a potential for esports to be able to be, like Sunday and night football, where everyone gets together and watches the games together, in more than just a Discord chat, with like the whole like, Super Bowl like kind of vibe. But I mean, obviously on smaller scales because different games. But that's my yap sesh. I'm done now. My voice is starting to go away. I need to get some water or something.
Bro.
What?
Massive 115 day news.
What?
On Treyarch's Twitter account.
Okay, I'm pulling it up. Give me like 2 seconds.
Massive article.
Treyarch. Okay, if I could spell. Okay. 115. We'll pull this up real quick. This will probably be the last thing we talk about, and then we'll call it. All right. Welcome to day 115. Day 115 is here. January has arrived once again, aka day 115 day for a long time Zombies fan. We've got plenty of goodies to share this year. Apologies in advance, and our international friends who 115 makes no sense as a date. We don't make the rules. So here's what they have cooking up for zombies. So there's double XP today through the 21st, which is great because I'm playing zombies after this. 2 times gold gobble gun earn rate, 2 times player XP, 2 times weapon XP, 2 times battle pass XP. Great. The Tomb arrives with season 2. The Tomb, what is it? Is it a new map?
Mm-hmm.
So the Tomb is a new map. Oh, this looks sick. These pictures look sick. It's going to be similar to Liberty Falls, offering a bunch of Easter eggs, a reimagined Wonder Weapon inspired by the past. They don't want to say anything else. The Tomb awaits just in time. The map's been released. Treyarch's own medal. Season 2 quality of life preview. Challenge tracking and near completion updates kind of things. Co-op pause. Ooh.
Co-op pause is gonna be good, bro.
AFK kick out loadout recovery. If a player gets kicked out for going AFK in a co-op game, now they'll be able to rejoin and restore their loadout. Separate HUD presets for zombies and multiplayer. So if you want a different HUD per game, you can do that. Because right now it's all really the same.
They finally gave us stats on directed mode.
Yeah. 480 million hours in Black Ops 6 Zombies. That's insane.
It's nuts.
Yeah. A bunch of changes.
They explained a lot of the pack punch names, which is cool.
I don't really want to go through this. You guys can gotta go through this in there. And then if you guys remember Abby from COD Next, the life size, it's now.
I remember
now
like before COD Next, they had that thing sitting in a truck, and everybody was like, "What?"
Yeah, now it's on display, in LA, and then a bunch of that's actually really sick. A bunch of different artwork and fan stuff from over the years. I like that, the revive. Ray gun. I don't know, I think. And then a thank you. But yay, double XP, let's go. I'm excited. Get that double XP. I gotta really finish up my battle pass here.
I'm excited for in-game camo tracking, because then now we don't have to sit here and like wonder if we have camos done, or like there's also calling card tracking for people that want to go for 100%er.
Yeah.
So that's really sick.
A lot of good things added, which is awesome. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. It was a little bit of a yapper today. I apologize, but I feel like I got out what I needed to say. Hopefully it made sense to you guys. If it didn't, well, I'm sorry. Next week, though, we're probably going to have another, podcast. I think I'm going to talk to the Deception about that, though. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We appreciate you guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys follow us both on Twitch. We stream this live every day. Well, every Wednesday, not every day. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. EST, give or take a couple minutes. And then it goes live on YouTube at 4 p.m. later that day. Go check out some of the older episodes of the podcast. This is episode 103, so there's another 102 out there. Well, 101, we lost episode 19. I don't know what happened. But yeah, see you guys. Deception, say bye.
Bye.
See you guys next time. Peace.